the submissive leader. The Bible never forgets to mention that Deborah was married, and it is respectful enough to mention her husband's name. In the book of Judges 4 and verse 4, we find that even though Deborah was the judge, even though Deborah was the leader, but still she allowed whoever was writing her history or a story to make sure that they included the name of her husband. So Deborah never forgets to mention that she was married, and that is very respectful enough to be able to understand. The mentioning of Deborah's husband is very significant. His husband, we all know that his husband never prophesied. His husband never fought any battle or sang any song. But the Bible mentioned the name of the man that is behind this great leader. And this is something that I would want us to look at keenly. Today we are living in a society where we have so many women prophets, we have so many women pastors, we have so many women evangelists, we have so many women worship leaders, but there are no mentioning of their husband's name. Even when they are married, they are walking and going out solo. They don't care or to mention, to include that they have somebody or someone that is walking or supporting or behind them. But we see when the Bible is being written, Deborah is proud to allow the Bible to mention her as the wife of Lapidoth. She was a prophet, yet she was the wife of Lapidoth. So this shows us that Deborah was a submissive woman back at home, despite her leadership ministry. That's why she allows the name of her husband to be mentioned, which is to indicate that when she goes back home, even though she was a great leader who was leading Israel at that point, she was also a woman who was submissive to her husband. Her ministry did not take her responsibility as a wife away from her. Her ministry or her leadership did not stop her from being a submissive and a loving wife. And this tells us that Deborah respected and honored the man in her life. There are things that when we see you do will tell us if you honor the man in your life or the woman in your life, even when you are doing your ministry. And Deborah was very proud, and she was able to make that known that yes, I have a man in my life, and whenever I go, however far I go or high I arise, I want it to be known that I have a man in my life that I honor in the heat of the battle. Deborah was the captain of the army, but when she came back home, Deborah was a wife and Deborah was a mother. I want you to understand this, that as a leader, you should not neglect your family. You should not neglect your duties and your responsibility at home in the name of ministry and mission. There are so many people today that have neglected their duties. Their wives cannot see them, their children cannot see them, their husband cannot see them. They are so busy on the mission field. Every week, every month, they are traveling all over the place, and they're back at home. The family is crying. The husband cannot understand what kind of a ministry is this. The wife cannot understand what kind of ministry is that. And I want you to understand that as a leader, you should not neglect your duties and responsibilities at home in the name of ministry and in the name of mission. To the contrary, your first ever ministry should be your family, should be your husband, your wife, and your children. Before you are able to go out and minister to other children and other women, you are supposed to have ministered to your children and to your wife. A leader should know their boundaries of authority. You should know your boundaries of authority, and you should not take advantage of the vulnerable. You should know your boundaries of authority. And the Bible says in the mission field, you are a leader, but when you come back home, you need to be reminded. When you come back home, reminded that you are a son, you are a daughter, you are a wife to somebody, you are a husband to somebody, and you should be submissive to the family authority that God has placed over you. You should not take advantage of the position or the title or the authority that the community or the society has given unto you and use that against your family. It should not change the order of authority in your own family. When you are a wife and you have been appointed to be a captain, a minister, a worship leader, a pastor, when you come back home, you should not change the position and the order in your home to fit your leadership position, to fit what you are doing out there. When you come back home, you are supposed to continue to serve those that people has placed over you. And so I want to finish by saying, please don't forsake the family, because leadership begins at home. Don't forsake your family because of, or in the name of ministry, or in the name of mission, because a leadership begins at home. In the church, there are leaders who are working with you. God expects you to honor and respect the spiritual fathers and authorities over your life. If you cannot do that at home, you will be a problem in the church. If you cannot honor your husband at home, you cannot honor your wife at home, you cannot relate with your children at home, you cannot listen to your family when they are crying because you are gone all the time, and then you want to be a different person in the church. I am telling you, if you cannot work things back home, then when you come to the church and to the ministry field, you will be a trouble. You will not be able to respect and honor even your spiritual authority. So it is important for us to understand that as a leader, you must be submissive.